Being Broadtail is brought to you by CPJ, distributors of Grey Goose Essences, the Harry J Recording Studio, Broad Axe Communications, 1010 Events and Rentals, and Morgan's Creek. Hey everyone, I'm Dania Beckford. Bold, sometimes brash, and since I'm the CEO of Broadtail Design, I consider myself Broadtail Beautiful. It's time we make the conversations we have as women open, honest, and authentic as we navigate living our best lives. Join me as I have intimate conversations with women of all sizes, shapes, and confidence levels as we explore being broadtail. Hi, my broadtails. We are back for season 3 of Being Broadtail. Season 3. With a whole year hiatus. And boy, it has been a journey. Let me tell you something. My confidence has been tested and tried since 2022. But before we get into it, you know how we do. We start off our conversations with strong spirits, and we have some new friends at Caribbean Producers Jamaica who have come on board for season 3, and they introduced me to Grey Goose Essences. Now, I knew Grey Goose from before, but I didn't know the essences. And let me tell you something. Me did put on the vodka drinking from UADs. But when I tested the essences, it just felt like me. Watermelon, peach, and strawberry. And they even taught me how to make a cocktail. So I'm going to teach you. We have the Being Broadtail cocktail for season 3. It's 1.5 part soda water, 1.5 part tonic water, and 1 part Grey Goose essences. And of course, I'm having my favorite. That's watermelon. Yeah, man, them teach me how to make it because in Jamaica, you need 10 skill and 3 work in order to survive. And all my guests will be having the opportunity to taste the cocktail. I've done different ones, but I'll put a little rosemary in there. Make one of myself. Now that we've taken some of the strong spirits, let's start at the very beginning. Last season, we called it Soul Work. And the highlight for me was the launch of the Being Broadtail affirmation cards and all the great stories from dancehall queen Carlene. We had Pampute, we had Jess, Donna Ray, Garcia, Stacy, and Ann Triple X, right? But this one, I'm calling it push through. And when I thought about that phrase, I thought about the synonyms for push through. I thought about persevere, forge ahead, press on, advance, overcome, breakthrough, drive ahead, carry on. And all of it was indicative of the season I've been having since 2022. So you know that we started off in COVID when none of us were able to go outside. We were all looking at our communication devices. And so persons needed a new way to connect with people. For me, having a fashion label where no one was going outside, absolutely no swimsuits, cover-ups, carnival costumes, or resort wear was being worn. And so I needed to get back to the roots of why it was important for me to start my business, Broadtail Designs, and that was because I wanted women to feel confident. And so we started the podcast. And as I said, we've had great conversations. But when we all got back outside, when everybody had virtual fatigue, nobody never really want to look on them screens so much anymore because we all just wanted to party, interact, talk physically. And so it was a downer in terms of partners that would want to come on board and even just my own work. I'm also a publicist and I had a lot to do outside, and it just feels like everything was just not lining up for this podcast to continue. And so, you know what old people say, whenever happening a year, happening a day. And I've had many days in the past 2 years that felt like progress was just not happening. And then I moved from being a 10% entrepreneur The last time I was here with you guys, I was still working secularly a day job, and I had Broadtail as my quote unquote side hustle, even though it was a fully registered business happening for years. I decided to take the plunge in 2022 and become a full entrepreneur, and girl got on serial entrepreneur. So moving from one business, opening Broad Axe Communications, which is my PR company that deals with personal branding, crisis management, corporate branding, and also becoming a director in Yardmass Carnival, where Broadtail Designs is a partner in that business, because we're all about having all types of women on the road, being inclusive in Carnival. So girl moved from 10% entrepreneur to full entrepreneur with 3 business. And all the things that came with that, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely and exhausting place. We talk about the things that are very glamorous about entrepreneurship, the hours, being able to work on your own time if you choose to do so, being able to choose what you want to do or prioritize in a day. But then we don't talk about the other parts of it where, yes, you choose the hours, but sometimes the hours turn into almost days of working without rest when everybody else is sleeping, depending on your business. You are still up, you're still working. The clients that you have to deal with. I've come to learn that as much as I thought that the client is always right, in some instances they aren't. We just make them feel like they are. And just some of the other struggles that come with administering a business, getting the requisite help that you need within the business. And sometimes you have to revamp the business, because sometimes when businesses start, they start as one thing and they end up evolving into something else. And having the maturity and the knowledge to know when that evolution needs to happen and how you revamp that. For instance, for me, I revamped the way in which production was done in Broadtail Designs. And even with coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of my skilled workers in the business, they migrated because they weren't reaching their own goals. And so they went away for a different life, which pushed me to have to recalculate and recalibrate how that business was being run. And a lot of changes was happening in that time. At some moments, I wasn't even feeling confident that this is the business that I started, that I was so passionate about and wanted to help women feel confident. Like, if me not sell swimsuit, then how may I help women be confident? Like, am I a fraud right now? These are some of the thoughts that I went through in the year that you didn't see me doing the podcast. And I wasn't very proud of myself and the way in which I was handling what I call my passion business, which is Broadtail Designs. Because even when I was leaving my day job, I told all of the people who were close to me at the time that I'm leaving this day job so I can pursue Broadtail Designs, because I do believe that it is the business in my life that's going to make me make most impact in the world, like globally. I want to get up every day and ensure that whatever comes out of my mouth, whatever tangible product I'm producing, helps women and girls to feel more confident about themselves as they walk through this life where God has given to us. And I wasn't feeling like I was accomplishing that. I wasn't feeling very proud of myself where that is concerned. And so the doubt started to seep in. And then even with the podcast, not having some partners come back on board, it also added to the doubt that I was feeling that, isn't this a good product? People love it. Most places that I go, they're asking me, when is the next episode coming? When is the next season coming? Why is it that a company, an entity, a person would not want to partner with something that I thought was so good? And sometimes thinking about those things may end up having you think that you're not doing the right thing in the moment. But what I ended up learning from the process is that sometimes you need to take a step back. The podcast started in a whole crisis that the world was having, and the way that it was done then and the partners that came on then may not be the same when the world changed again. And so just having that time to realign with my own passion and my own purpose and thinking of why I started this thing is what I truly needed to come back so that season 3 could be the bomb that it's gonna be. Also, absolutely no one, and when I say no one prepared me for the fact that this work, mom life, something of a balance would have been so challenging. So, first of all, when you see us mothers on the internet going to all of the things that our children are doing at school and still trying to hit our goals, and you give us the compliment about how we're just doing it and we wanted to be just like you, you absolutely don't want to be just like me. You don't want to be just like me, because that has been such a challenge for me in the last 2 years. So my son is now 5 years old and he is absolutely mouthy. His social life at school is way more competitive than mine because he always has something to do. But just trying to balance out clients, balance out trying to be a great entrepreneur, balance out trying to be a mom. Some days I absolutely don't know what I'm doing, because the days when I feel like, yeah, man, I am mommy of the year. What? Pick up some time. All of the social things that he has to do done. All of the co-curricular things done. Spending time. Oh, I'm back at time on the deadline in my work. So every client I call for something. And on the days when I am doing it for the clients, I am out at the events. It's a great media day for all clients. Home is Sunday out of security. I wait so because I'm just late to pick him up. Or something else that was supposed to be done. Never remember say a jeans day. I feel hurry up in the morning for try to find something to wear. It's not a balance, it's a dance. And on some days it's a quick step and it's absolutely done perfectly. And other days me just a step on my own or two. Not even somebody else toe. Me just a step on my own or two. And so I would love sometimes for us to give mothers and those who support us, and fathers too, a little bit more grace in this parenting thing. Like, I've heard people who have been quite, what I think is cruel, say they not only did want pitney. Absolutely. Absolutely. We wanted to have a child or children, but that does not negate the fact that sometimes it gets really challenging. And as we try to journey through this life, that we feel sometimes that, one, we're not doing a good job. Two, on the days that we feel like we're doing a good job, something else is faltering. Or three, we don't need support. And that's one of the things that has really been very top of mind for me during this season of being absent from doing the podcast, that there's a different type of support that I needed as my son grew. And I thank my family and my friends who have stepped in and done pickups at school, done sleepovers, just try to pitch in and help when I have something else to do. And that was really very significant to me, becoming a director in Yardmas Carnival, where the carnival season is very grueling. There's a lot to do in a very short period of time. And production is a very important part of the process. And my team at Yardmas decided that I needed a little bit more experience in the raw production phase of life. And so I took on the production host. And let me tell you something right now, my son, he absolutely knows everything about a production host, from the wire to the drilling to the gluing, everything, because he had to be there with me sometimes. And funny thing is, he thinks that it's a play date. He thinks that because everything here looks so pretty, all of the feathers, all of the glitter, all of them things there, we're having our fun and games, but my heart in my throat. But I'm grateful for the fact that in the production house, everybody kind of took care of him. My friends would pick him up from production house or pick him up from school and take him to me. And that support that was there for me to actually excel in this new role, in this new company, was unwavering. And I really, that's something that I really loved about that process. Never love how I'm tired though, but that is for another day. And another thing that I quite found out during this period, and I think I'm going to take a drink for this one, is that taking a drink, is that children will do things in their own time. And what do I mean by that? So when Zano was 2.5, I recognized that whenever he would hear some sounds, he would look disoriented to me. And he would cry if persons would clap loudly, or if something would pop, or if a truck would pass. And I would wonder, why does he look so disoriented? He didn't look frightened. He looked disoriented. And so we went to a gender reveal for one of my very, very good friends. And when they popped the canister for you to see whether it would be blue or pink things that come out of it, my other friend, who is a doctor, she also saw that Zana looked disoriented. And the next day she called me and she said to me, I have something to tell you or talk to you about. And I was like, yeah, man, sure, walk on. And she's like, I think that you need to get Zano evaluated, because I recognized that when the canister was popped at the gender reveal, he really did look disoriented. And you've been talking about how when there are loud noises, or if he's somewhere where it's a that has a lot of stimuli, he seems disoriented. And so we need to just check if everything is okay, so that we know how to manage. And so I did. I never felt any way about the conversation, because as parents, no matter what other people tell you in your belly, you have some intuition about your own children. And he was also very antisocial at that time. And my mother used to say, well, him grew up in a COVID, when COVID just started, so I'm not really used to people and all of those things. But in my heart, I knew that probably we needed to delve deeper into what was really happening to him. And I'm so very happy that we did, because we went to Spark Learning and they evaluated him over a period of time, not just one session. And at the end of that period, they gave us the results of the evaluation, which said that he was on the autism spectrum. Now, this spectrum is one that is very wide. There is mild, there is moderate, there is severe, and he was actually evaluated to be mild. And so when I got the results of that, I can't even recall the exact thing that I was feeling. And I started to bawl. When I got the email, and I sent it to my closest friends, and they read it through, and then everybody was kind of like checking in how I was feeling. And I don't think I gave anyone a distinct answer about how I felt, because there were so many things that was going through my head at the time. And so upon looking back at the situation, when I think about how did you feel, one of the things that stands out for me is that when you have a child, you just really want life to be easy for them. You don't want them to be able to struggle. You don't want them to have challenges. I mean, you know that with challenges, they grow and they overcome, but you want life to be good and easy for them. And I just thought about, okay, I don't know much about this thing, and I don't want life to be hard for my son. How am I going to do this? And that same friend, Debian, actually, she said to me, well, if you look in the whole group of us as friends, if someone is going to have a child that they would have to advocate for, or a child that they would have to be a warrior for, it would have been you. And I said to myself, but my mind, like, I absolutely knew what she was saying. She was saying that I was so ready for this task as a parent. But what I was feeling was like one more thing for warrior for the whole. I feel like warrior the whole of my life. Can't have a sit down there after the battlefield. Just one more thing for a fight and a advocate for. And then at that point, I didn't even know what I was advocating for because I needed to be more informed. And so, the research turned up. I started to research a lot. I started to talk to other parents who I knew of that had children who were on the spectrum. I have two cousins that are actually on the spectrum, and so I got so much closer to my cousins who were their parents, and there's a lot that I had to share about what Zana was doing, how I felt about it, and how I was going to try to make everybody comfortable when they're dealing with him and when he has to deal with them. And one of the things that came out of 2.5 years of knowing that he is on the spectrum is that children will do things in their own time, no matter what label you give to them, no matter how old they are, no matter where they're from. They will do things in their own time, which even brings me to, the Maori people in New Zealand, they have become very popular on social media because what is happening to them, and that, rebellious chant and dance that they did in their parliament because of their rights. But I knew of the Maori people from before because their word for autism means in their own time. The word that they use for autism means in their own time. And that has been my absolute experience with raising Zano so far. He went from not talking a lot when he was 2.5, maybe 3 years old, to now me I wonder if my ears can yam grass because of how him a talk. Like he speaks well, he's answering you as soon as you ask him a question. Before that, he would have been so delayed. Because he needs more processing time when you ask him a question. He was in the special needs class at a special needs school 2 years ago, and I didn't think that they were feeding into what he needed at the time because one of his teachers at that particular school was actually telling me that she can't evaluate him because he wasn't talking to her. So I asked her a couple of questions, like if you ask him to show you, for instance, an elephant, can he show you? She says yes, but he doesn't talk to her. And I was like, well, but this is a special needs school. Him need to talk for you know so him can do it. Does he need to orally speak for you to know and communicate with him and for you to ascertain that he needs something? And I just realized that it wasn't the perfect place for him at the time. And I moved him. He's now at Ligani Prep. Big up to Ligani Prep. He spent a year in their special needs class as well. And they recognized that he had made so much progress that he could be integrated in the regular academic program. And let me tell you something. In his own time, he is doing absolutely so good in school. His teacher said to me just last week, I'm so proud of Zanache because he's doing so great in school. Him love homework. As him reaching at the car and tell me, Mommy, I have homework. I have homework, Mommy. And as we get home, he wants to do that homework. He's asking me, Mommy, you know about ordinal numbers? So in their own time. But one of the things that has been very interesting to me in this whole journey, because I've started to post subtle things on social media about autism, and I recognize that there are a lot of other parents who have children who may be on the spectrum or have another learning speciality. And there's not a lot of support that we have currently in our education system, or even just socially, for parents who may be going through the rigors of not knowing what's happening to your child and how you can assist them, or having a support system that can actually help you to help your child. And so that is my new advocacy. I want to be able to help other parents who are going through exactly what I'm going through with my child, and to help those children who will advance in their own time to be able to be their very best selves, because it comes back to confidence I'm trying to grow a child that is confident in who he is, no matter what label is placed on him. And I'm fine with labels to some extent. He's on the spectrum, he's on the spectrum. I completely accept it. From the day I got the results, I did accept it. But even with any uniqueness or speciality that anyone has as a person, I would love that person, and even more so my son, to be confident in who he is. So I tell him about autism. I tell him that he will be different from everybody else. He will never be the same. We're all unique. And as long as he is grounded in what makes him unique, I'm quite fine with that. I'm not hung up on grades in terms of 90s, 100s, 80s, 20s. I just want to always know that he shows the effort in what he's doing. He wants to be able to integrate and participate to the best of his ability. That is what is important to me as a parent. And even before I was a parent, I was never really hung up on how we grade or evaluate children in our society. I just want to know the effort made by that child or person and what is their capability, and that whatever that capability is, they're performing at that level. And so I'll be advocating, yes, I'll be the warrior for more resources in schools for children who are or differently abled. I'm advocating for more support for parents who have children who are not, who are unique and who will need to understand how to deal with those children. Because if we look back at it, I can think about when I was in primary school. I can think about children now that I'm raising Zano that would have shown indication that they are on the spectrum, whether it be autism, ADHD, or any other learning challenge. And they weren't given the type of resources that they needed to excel. And it probably isn't because the teacher was a horrible person, but just that the school and our education system was not equipped to deal with those children. And for me, one of the biggest things that I have learned about raising Zano in these short 5 years is patience. I have asked Jehovah for patience for a very long time, over a decade, because I know that my fuse very short. And me not really deal with things for long because me can't bother once it I get trouble, me I let it go. But Zano has taught me that patience is very necessary. And sometimes the things that we put into these routines and boxes that need to be done and checked actually needs to be checked. Like, check some of those boxes. Why are they actually in boxes? Why can't we do it another way? Why can't we think about it another way? Why can't we get to solving the problem another way? And, somebody said to me one time, when you ask God for things, he doesn't just give you the thing. He puts you in a position to exercise the quality that you've been asking for. And I think that this is it. And I'm embracing it. Some days rough and hard. Hear me now? Because him used to him routine, Zano used to him routine. And if you change something about that routine, you have delayed yourself at least 20 minutes. But I am also trying to teach him that life is flexible and things will not always go into your routine. And if that means delaying 20 minutes to get him to understand that it may not always be the same every day, then I'm fine with that. But you'll be hearing more about Xanache and all the things that we have planned for parents and schools and the education system on how to contribute to that. Also, guys, I turned 40. Yes, every problem I have in a life, every success I have in a life, I keep on telling people, I'm 40. I'm 40. I think they're tired of me. But Uno couldn't tell me, say, when you turn 40, just one bullet or something just changed about life. So I turned 40, and one morning I was bending down to fix Zano's belt to go to school, and me just couldn't get up. Me couldn't get up. I had the worst back pain me feeling in my life. And I mean, I pushed through. I did. And I took him to school. But this pain was persistent for 2 weeks. And I had to go do an MRI. And really what the MRI shows that lady just I get old. And there are just different ways to do things now. Like, you can't just fling down my body when I bend. I have to bend knowing that my bones and my body is 40 years old. and going over that. And I need to be cognizant of that. And, one of the things that my mother actually said to me, you just walk and tell people, say, you're 40. So, yes, because I know that a lot of people think that a woman should never say her age. And it should be a bad thing to get old. But that has not really been how I've thought about it. Like 40 for me has been a reckoning in a very good way because I get to say I have 18 years experience in the creative and media industries. I get to look back on all the experiences that I've had and how they have matured me to have emotional intelligence when making decisions, to be able to deal with challenges and scenarios that I've experienced in the past 2 decades and be able to know how to make the right decisions. And on this journey of maturing and having knowledge of certain things, I still, whenever I do an interview or whenever I talk to a group of people about having unshakable confidence and how life can become so much easier when you walk into situations that you're confident in, that people keep on asking me the question or have always asked me the question, well, how did you become so confident? And I recognize that I don't have one answer to that question. There's not one particular thing that happened in my life that made me be confident in my own self, which is really an inextricable belief in your own talents and skills. It was a number of things over the years. And so for this season, I am absolutely so proud to be launching our Being Broadtail Confidence Journal. And I'm almost to tears about how I feel about this journal. And that is because I had this journal in my laptop for the past 2 years. From 2022, I've been working on this journal. And I actually finished a copy of it at the end of 2022 and went over it in 2023. And it just could not come out of the laptop. And there has been this fire in my bones about, I really feel like I need to launch this journal because it gives me another opportunity, another avenue, another mechanism to give to people a significant and tangible way to get to their own confident self. And with the help of my amazing graphic artist, Maddie, and also my friend Nika, who helped me by organizing my time and ensuring that I was accountable to creating this journal and the use of my affirmation cards to put a little bit more meat on the bones of how I wanted the journal to flow, that we can launch it for this season of Being Broadtail. I know you love the graphics. It look good, right? I really love it. And of course, you know that I'm a sunshine girl, so I had to have the sun in there somewhere. And my whole entire business of Broadtail Design started because I love going to the beach and I wanted to have swimsuits that could fit every type of body and make them confident. So, I had to have some waves there to just bring people back to my own roots, or really just bring me back to why I started, how I started, and what that means for me looking back on where I began this entire journey. And so how this journal works is that I chose 12 of the most significant affirmations to me as a person that I think had put me on my confidence journey. And so what happens is that I attach an affirmation card to each month, and then I give an experience of why this affirmation was important for me or what it has done for me. And it's a real life experience, by the way. And then I have 4 challenges that the person goes through each week: a physical challenge, a mental challenge, an emotional challenge, and a spiritual challenge. And at the end of each month, you get to evaluate yourself to see how closer you are to being confident in the narrative of that affirmation. And I just want to highlight one that was very important for me. And it's the affirmation that says, my aura exudes confidence and self-respect, and that makes me extremely attractive. One of the reasons why that one was so important for me to include in the journal as one of the things that you challenge yourself to get to at the end of a month is because the story that I gave was actually about me going into field service as a Jehovah's Witness. So I don't know if you know, but I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and I've been going to field service ever since I can remember myself, probably from I was 5 years old or even younger. And I was always very chatty. And so it was cute for a period of time when you had a little girl who was talking about Jehovah and the hope that it brings to get closer to him. But as I got older, I remember in high school, I was in field service one day with my father, who at that time was an elder. And one woman properly tell me, say, if me not have no dirty panty when me need for wash my yard, why me there yard gate pants Saturday morning so early. And I felt absolutely devastated as a teenager. I I was ashamed. I did not know why this person was being so mean to me. And I think that my father recognized that I was feeling a little downtrodden for the rest of the time that I was in field service with him. And he said to me that I should never let what anybody says to me deter me or allow me to feel less about myself, because in this particular situation he said that we were going to somebody's house to talk about Jehovah. We're talking about God, and this woman knows nothing about you, and she decided to do this thing, which means that she does not have a negative narrative about you as a person. She has it about what you have come to do. And so you should not take it personal, because it's not about you, it's what you have come to do. And I thought about that, and I said to myself, self-respect, self-confidence is that's where it started to build for me. Because as he rightfully said, if I respect myself, even though somebody else disrespects me, it doesn't change how effective my aura is or how I should feel about myself. And then, of course, I can't tell you all of the challenges that you'll have to do for that particular month, but that is how I have set up the journal, where I use an affirmation that I got from a situation that may have been presented as a negative situation. And I work through ensuring that each week I remain confident and become even more confident at the end of the 4 weeks. One of the other ones that I really loved is the affirmation that is in August. August is my birth month, right? And it says, my vagina is a reservoir of pleasure that is worthy of reverence. And sometimes when we talk about our body parts, we often leave out what we call our private parts, because this is something that is supposed to be shameful or something that is not talked about. It's taboo. But I have a vagina similar to how I have a hand, and similar to how I have toes and ears and nose. And the way how those body parts assist me in living my best life, so does my vagina. And I feel like if, as women, we would respect the reservoir of pleasure and worthiness of reverence of that particular body part, we would actually respect ourselves some more. And that will allow other people to actually respect our bodies when we decide to give it to them. And so, again, some women have never looked at their vagina, whether it is them look at it like that, or they have seen it in a mirror. And just learning to accept all of our bodies is such an important thing. The story I used for that is the way how I met my trainer, which is Audrey Allwood from Fit Farm, where when I went to her, it was one of the times when I put on so much weight that when I looked down, I couldn't see my vagina. And I did not know this woman from nowhere. I was 25 years old, and I went to her gym and I said to her, I would like to lose some weight because I'd love to see my vagina again. And I remember her looking me straight in the face wondering, is this girl crazy? But my weight loss journey has always been about me feeling sexy when I take off my clothes, and seeing my vagina is very important to me. And so I use that story to kind of motivate women to accept all parts of their bodies because it's a part of the confidence journey. So I hope that you go on Amazon or you go to Morgan's Creek or any one of the popular bookstores in Jamaica, and you will get the Being Broadtail Confidence Journey. And I hope that it will benefit you. And I hope that together we'll probably have some sessions or some visioning where I can actually help you to get to your more confident self. Season 3 of the Being Broadtail podcast and YouTube series has been such a blessing to do. But as I mentioned to you before, it has really been about pushing through, about persevering, because when I finally got all the partners that were aligned with the vision on board, I came to Harry J to film as usual. You know, it's one of my favorite places. I love how those drums look behind me. And me just start get sick. As I started to record, I could feel myself getting sick. You know, that dry throat feeling, you know, that eyes watering feeling. And I'm like, this can absolutely not be happening, where I have waited for an entire year for everything to be aligned. And now I could just catch flu, sir? No, this can't be happening. We are doing this today and the days that we have set out to produce. And well, I got sick, but we pushed through it. Also, the fact that some of the returning partners, so 1010 Events and Rentals, as you know, Tanika is my best friend, and just seeing how she has evolved in her own business, the changes she has made, how she has flourished, and she has still supported me on my own journey here as a podcaster and YouTuber. Morgan's Creek, you are going to have an episode from Joni Dale Morgan, who is the managing director of Morgan's Creek. And when we get to that episode, if you know Joni, you know that this girl don't love nothing about public speaking, about being at the front of nothing, much less to sit down and film something for an entire hour. So just wins like that. Every guest, every person who has really supported this season's journey has been so motivating to me, and has allowed me to continue to think that I need to also push through. I mean, also having a new partner on board, CPJ has come on board, and they have fully supported my journey as I produced this podcast. I go back to my director, who love very much to keep me on track and accountable, Tara Johnson, about, you know, just ensuring that this thing that I have set out to do, that I do it. My audio engineer, KLX, I want to them. You know, keeping me on track, making me sound so great, and just being on board for 3 seasons. Like, it is absolutely a blessing to start a journey with a set of people and be able to continue on that journey, because so many people have migrated, so many people have transitioned, so many people are no longer friends. And so ensuring that these people stay on the journey with you. My makeup artist, who is also my friend since I was 8 years old, Leanne Taylor, thank you so much. Beating my face and the faces of my guests, making us look like goddesses. Love it. And my stylist, Debbie Ann, like, new in the Broadtail collection is animal print and fringe. And she helped to inspire that design. And I really love that I'm able to do this journey with her. And as I talked about revamping my business, I also sought help that I needed. And that moved from one of my models in the earlier years of Broadtail actually coming on board as my chief assistant, and also just the organizer of my entire life in terms of all the 3 businesses that I'm involved in. She's also my junior publicist, and that's Thais Alexis. And just having new people come into the fold while having persons who have been there from day one has been such a motivation and inspiration to me. And so I'm excited for you to be on this journey with me for season 3. And I'm hoping that all the things that I intended to impart to you on this journey, that we can all share it together and be our more confident selves at the end of it. And so we have some of the things that we did last season coming right back. We have our confidence pose, and it's even fiercer. The guests look forward to it. They look forward to it, right? And we also have fabulous bags and gifts from CPJ, who has put a chock full of things in each bag for each of my guests. And we also have the ZZ plant. It's back here. Now, me know on my thing say, my ZZ plant now grow, but it's a new ZZ plant. Me full of ZZ plant right now. Like right now, me can open up my own ZZ plant store. And I'm happy for all the people who keep on calling me and asking me where to get the ZZ plant because they want one too. I'm very grateful for the movement we've created with that. And also to ensure that we keep conversations alive about women or issues or stories or successes or challenges and or very rich and delightful journey to confidence. And I want to leave you with the affirmation from my stack of affirmation cards that I actually have held on to as a motivation to get me through this season. And that one is, I'm a great facilitator of talent, expertise, and memorable experiences. And that's how I think of this podcast. I don't just think of it as a podcast or a series. It's an actual movement where we explore women's talents, their expertise, and we have memorable experiences. And so cheers to season 3 of Being Broadtail. I hope you stay with me for the entire season. Being Broadtail is brought to you by CPJ, distributors of Grey Goose Essences, the Harry J Recording Studio, Broad Axe Communications, 1010 Events and Rentals, and Morgan's Creek.